Good evening, everybody. Welcome, friends out there checking out Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us for our Stock Talk Thursday. It's going to be a little bit different this week. As you guys know, usually you have Coach Blair, maybe Coach Dave Huber, Coach Jeffrey Nance on here talking about what's going on in the stock market, talking about which specific maybe individual stocks they're keeping an eye on, or maybe that are very, more specifically, very just newsworthy at the moment. Everything from what happened with GameStop to AMC to Tesla before that. So you guys know, what typically is going on these Stock Talk Thursdays. Tonight's going to be a little bit different though, because we got something really cool coming up tomorrow and Saturday. I'll share more about that in just a second. But the reason I'm on here tonight is because we're going to be talking about precious metals. Now, you may be thinking, how does that relate to Stock Talk Thursday? Well, believe it or not, there's more similarities than you might think, because just to give you guys a little bit of background, Tradeway, when we talk precious metals, when we incorporate precious metals into our education, when you hear me talk about it, we are literally talking about physical coins and bars. Gold, silver, coins and bars, and how to fit those into your portfolio, your investment style, or personal objectives, however you want to word that. And yeah, how to fit it into the big picture. And so that's kind of what we're going to be talking about on Stock Talk Thursday tonight, is how exactly can the two fit together? Because they're seemingly totally different mindsets, right? You got short-term trading over here, and this kind of, at least what's generally perceived to be very long-term, kind of passive form of investing. There's some misconceptions to that, but I'll get to that in a few minutes. And so how do the two meld? How do they work? They seem opposite, yet at the same time, what I'm going to share with you guys is that they can fit together really nicely. So before I go any further, guys, like and share this video so that any of your friends and family out there that are interested in precious metals investing can, hear the broadcast tonight. And of course, throw some comments in the comment section. I love answering questions. I love seeing your thoughts. And so if you guys have a question or something pop up throughout this broadcast, please stick it in the comment section so that we can cover that. So with that being said, stock trading, precious metals, how can they work together? So a lot of you guys joining us tonight may be familiar with the Tradeway method of stock trading, short-term, trading from support to resistance, 2 to 3 week plays in some cases, sometimes shorter time frame than that. We talk about stock trading, options trading, and we, a big part of that is technical analysis, right? Finding the patterns that are, repeatable, reliable patterns, in some cases predictable, where you can figure out, maybe where this stock is going. So it turns into an educated risk versus just the kind of risk that people usually think is attached to the stock market. Just throwing money at a stock and hoping it goes up. That's a gamble. We don't believe in that at all. Obviously, here at Tradeway, we believe in taking educated risk, applying real knowledge and wisdom, education to your stock trades to turn it into that educated risk. So you have that. Then you have the precious metals investing. So to define that even more, we're talking about buying coins and bars. And yes, it is a long-term investment in the sense that we do advocate when you buy those coins and bars, you're holding it for the long term. And the reason why that's the case, and why it's also an active form of investing at the same time, is because what's happening, what you guys are holding, those precious metals, is that it is combating the terrible effects of constant inflation, constant loss in value of the dollar, of your purchasing power. For example, in the last, I actually pulled some numbers earlier today because I was doing a different broadcast. So these are up to date as of today. Since the year 2000, so, last couple of decades, our dollars that, let's just say, are just sitting in a savings account. So a lot of people out there, a lot of us do that. We take a portion of our hard-earned money and we put it in a savings account to hold for either our kids' inheritance or for a rainy day, or just to have a nest egg in case something crazy happens, all that kind of stuff. A lot of us do. Most Americans have some form of savings, right? So for those of us, or for those of you out there who have had money in a savings account since the year 2000, the purchasing power of that money has decreased by 56%. Okay, so that would take 56% more money now to buy the same stuff that you could in 2000. Okay, so that's kind of eye-opening. That's terrible. That's a lot of loss of purchasing power. What about just since 2008, right around the time the Great Recession hit? Since then, our dollar, just our money sitting in savings accounts, whatever it may be, lost 25% of its purchasing power. Okay, 2008 wasn't that long ago, but still, what if we brought it even closer to home? What about just in the last 5 years? Just right before, President Trump took office, right? Right around the end of 2016 or mid 2016, just the last 5 years, our dollars, our money has lost 11% of its purchasing power just in that short amount of time frame. So we have this problem. We have this problem of our money constantly losing value because of constant cumulative inflation. 2% inflation doesn't sound too bad until you consider the fact that it is added on to the previous year's percentage of inflation. And that was added on to the previous year of that. So in the last 5 years, we've actually experienced over 20% inflation because it's cumulative. So that's happening all the time. That's an active problem. So forget about the misconception of precious metals investing being a passive form of investing, because it is taking care of very active problems, things that are happening to us every single day. And I'm not, talking about it like, the kind of fear induced sales tactics that you hear in infomercials, on Fox News, on the commercials you may see there, or even if you have called precious metals dealers in the past and they're giving you all these reasons why you need to buy their coins now. I'm not even talking about that kind of stuff. It's just a fact that inflation is occurring every single year and it's cumulative. And when that happens, the purchasing power of our money, hard-earned money that we would like to give to the next generation, disappears with it. That's just a reality. It's a fact. It's a problem that we need to solve. So forget about the fear-induced urgency stuff. Let's talk about a way to remove the fear and create a sense of preparedness, self-reliance, a way for us to be ready for just about anything. That's where the precious metals come into play. We teach you to buy them, to hold them for the long term, and we teach you, but there's a lot of it that goes into it in that. That's overly simplified, but you buy it, you hold it in the long term, but it's actively preserving your purchasing power. Okay, so how does this relate to stock trading? How can the two meld? Well, just picture going out there and implementing your short-term trading tactics while you are taking portions of that and protecting the potential gains that you had from your stock trading with this more long-term style precious metals investing that's preserving that purchasing power. And they're happening simultaneously all the time. They work together quite a bit when you have it in that light. And now let's consider this for a second. You guys are aware of, technical analysis, patterns being formed and things like that. Well, think about this for a second. I'm sharing my screen. The chart that you see on your screen here, this is silver. This is the spot price of silver. And look, I mean, even commodities that we like, think of a silver coin. How many of you guys out there have ever thought, before I go buy this coin, I'm going to go chart the spot price and make sure it's making a predictable, repeatable, reliable pattern so I'm getting it at a good pivot point? You literally can apply those same principles to going before you buy your coins so that you are ensuring you're getting more metal for your dollar. So you can actually employ the same short-term trading technical analysis to your long-term buy points. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that, to your buy points for these long-term investments. Okay. So even though, you may buy these silver coins or your gold coins and hold them for 30, 40, 50 years and not use them for anything other than preserving the inheritance to pass on to the next generation. It's actually a strategy that we teach in detail that I'll talk more about in a minute. But you still, when you buy that gold or silver, and initially it still makes sense to get a good buy point, right? To get the most metal for your dollar. Absolutely. And so think about what happened a few weeks ago. A few weeks ago, or it's been over a month at this point, on February 1st, you guys remember what happened with GME? Feel free to throw in the comments. You guys interact with me a little bit here. You guys remember what happened with GME and AMC, those stocks back in January? You guys remember that? Let me know if you guys recall kind of what I'm talking about here. When all of a sudden, like, the value of GameStop overnight shot up. I can't even remember what the percentage was. It was ridiculous. It was crazy. The same thing was attempted on the silver market on February 1st. Now, the magnitude of that is considerably higher, at least in my opinion, than what happened to GME and AMC, because those were individual stocks. the chart you're looking at now, that's the entire silver market. I mean, that's the spot price of silver, where every silver stock, most silver mining stocks, silver ETFs, all of their value is derived from the chart you're looking at now, from the value of silver, which it's the spot price here. So yes, James. So you remember what happened, Benjamin? Absolutely. I mean, it was a big deal what happened on those individual stocks, but when it happened on silver market, it took it up a notch. So what you're seeing here is this is the candlestick from February 1st. Got ahead of myself a little bit. Obviously huge spike. It peaked around a little over $30, which was a high that it hadn't reached, I think, since 2011. So it reached basically a decade high overnight, because of this attempted short squeeze on the price of silver. The same thing that happened with the Wallstreet Bets, Reddit group with those two stocks. They attempted the same thing. Now, the difference between what happened with silver and what happened with those two stocks is look what happened the next day. I mean, immediately, again, this is a full market. The big boys, I mean, this is no joke. They were like, no, we're bringing this, like, first of all, a lot of people took profits, but it pretty much immediately got back to its original trend. As you guys can see, it kind of fell back to a pattern. Here we are today. So it corrected right back to where it started the day before, and then kept going up. Now, someone asked to define a short squeeze really quick. To just in simple terms, what's happening there is people are you have the big boys, right? You have these institutional investors that are betting against this asset. Okay, they're shorting the stock. They're betting against it, and they are actually selling stock that they don't own to drive the price down. Well, all of a sudden, where this short squeeze comes into play is you have people, in this case, what happened with the Reddit users, Wallstreet Bets, coming in and picking up those cheap shares on a massive scale, driving the price up, and it forces the big boys, the institutional investors, and anyone else that was shorting the stock to what's called covering their shorts. So they got to buy those back. The stock they sold that they didn't own in the first place, they got to buy it back. And when they do that, it takes more shares off of the market, and it drives the price up even further. So it just exacerbates the problem. So that's just a really quick summation of what was being attempted here. And so, as we can see right off the bat, it immediately returned to normal. It kind of went back up its pattern a little bit. It's a decline there. This is, again, silver. You can see it's kind of a choppy trend, making a wedge in some spots. So here's why what I'm showing you guys matters a lot. So I've already covered one concept here, and that is that you can meld your short-term stock trading in with your long-term precious metals investing. They can go hand in hand. They're accomplishing two very important things at once. The short-term trading is your potential wealth creation. The precious metals is preserving that wealth that you potentially created with your stock trading. They go hand in hand. They happen simultaneously. Here's the second important thing I want to cover, and I've actually talked about this on a previous Facebook Live, but it's worth repeating. So yeah, it took just one day for the spot price, the chart here, to correct back, all of the profit taking, and it came right back down, corrected, and then it's just been kind of falling back into place since then. Took one day for that. But what about the bullion market, the physical precious metals market, the coin market? I mean, in order to preserve your wealth, the way I'm talking about, it requires, at least in the safest form, it requires you purchasing physical coins and bars, whether that be gold or silver. So what happens to that market? Because that's somewhat detached from what we're seeing here. What you're seeing here, this is all these fluctuations are caused from buying and selling paper contracts on the commodities exchange across the globe. Okay, but the physical precious metals market, it's not a very elastic industry. I mean, it's based on supply chains. It's based on manufacturing finished products, the coins. It's you're buying a product when you're buying a coin. And when something like that spike takes place, just imagine everyone in the country at once are thinking, I want to get on that bandwagon. I want to go grab some silver now. I've been wanting to for a while, but now, it's spiking now and it's probably going to shoot to the moon, just like GME did, because the same thing is happening. So let's go buy up a bunch of silver coins so we can take part in this crazy thing that's happening. That's exactly what happened. And guess what quickly transpired after that? Almost every single dealer across the country were totally sold out of all of their silver products. And then shortly after that, even some of their gold products, because some people were like, well, we missed out on the silver. Let's get some gold, even though gold stayed relatively steady during this whole thing, because silver was the target. So this is why that's important to know. When things sell out in those and when you're basing these investments on a market that is totally built on supply chains and supply and demand constraints, all of a sudden supply is gone. Demand is sky high. In fact, demand was actually higher than it was at the beginning of the pandemic last year, which was crazy to me because that was historical. Supply is gone. Demand is sky high. So what has to happen? Just like with any other market, they had to mark the product up. They had to increase their premiums to try to, what's the word I'm looking for here? To try to basically withstand the supply and demand shock that was occurring. So here's what's crazy about it, guys. Those premiums skyrocketed overnight from about, I'm going to use the Silver Eagle, for example. You know what? Bear with me for just a second. This is going to be worth, let me stop my screen share if I could figure out how. Okay. Let me open up another tab really quick. I promise stick with me here. I'm going to open up another chart that's going to blow y'all's minds. Okay. And this is proprietary. Like, you can't just find this chart anywhere. This is something that I use personally. Can you guys still see my screen? I think you can still see my screen, which is fine. Let's see here. Okay. Where we're at here. Let me make sure this is adding. Okay. I don't know if y'all saw all of that or can just now see. It doesn't matter. But because this is exactly what I'm trying to show you guys. This chart right here, let me zoom in a little bit if it'll let me. There we go. What this chart represents is what, okay, so I know I'm all over the place. You can tell I get a little bit excited about this stuff. And I could talk about this stuff for hours. This is the spot price, right? Spot price of silver. That's a very important thing to factor into your investment decisions. The spot price usually makes up for the large majority of the value of these coins. For example, 80 to 85% of the value normally. However, you also have this premium over here, the premium that's charged by these dealers, and that premium is the price that you pay above the spot price. So normally, as you can see on this chart, we're down around, like, for Silver Eagles, this is the US Silver Eagle right there. For Silver Eagles, that's usually below 20%. In this case, like around 15%. And it increased a little bit. It started increasing, it got to about 19% the night before this happened. Overnight, from 19% to nearly 40%. So, I mean, an over 20% increase in the premium that you're paying for this coin. So now all of a sudden, the 40% of the value of the coin that you want to go buy is made up of this premium that has shot to the moon, basically, as well as the spot price. What's crazy, guys, is that the spot price, remember, it came right back down the very next day. Yet the premiums, look, they are still very high. They're still up in the high 30s, but they stayed in the mid to high 30s for weeks, over a month after the fact. Because remember, guys, the markets that are based on supply chains, that are based on manufacturing, supply and demand constraints, that takes a long time for those to catch up to what just happened. Wholesalers need to re-up their inventory so that they can pass it on to the dealers, the retailers that we as consumers buy from. All of that takes a lot of time. They got to put the metal on an airplane. Well, they have to create it. They have to mint it in some cases, fresh coins. Then they have to put that on a truck or an airplane, ship that out to retailers. They got to get it on their inventory. They have to, log it in their system, and make sure, everything is in order there, then put it on their website, then start taking orders. I mean, as you guys can see, that process takes a lot longer than an overnight change like like the spot price, what happened with the spot price overnight, next day, corrected right back to where it was. Premiums, we're still dealing with this. So this is the important, I know I've talked a lot. I know I've talked really fast, and I've covered a lot of pretty big concepts without a whole lot of context that I would normally be providing to my students, because I want to kind of give you guys just a sneak peek on how all this works. So I realize this is a lot to keep up with. But the moral of the story here is you guys want to be prepared. You guys want to be prepared before something crazy like the Wallstreet Bets, whatever, comes in and attempts a short squeeze on the silver market. You guys want to be prepared before a global pandemic comes out of nowhere and sends shockwaves throughout every single industry, every single market for months and months and months, and still is a year after the fact. You guys want to be prepared for crazy winter weather that hits Texas. I'm sitting here in Corsicana, Texas right now. Guys, that week alone threw off the precious metals industry, especially the Texas-based dealers, because they couldn't ship, they couldn't receive new inventory. It was crazy. I mean, that's like a trifecta of unexpected things that hit the precious metals market that again, sent shockwaves throughout everything and affected a lot of people. So the moral of the story here, guys, is you need a system and you need an education in order to do this the right way, so that when you guys are prepared before stuff like this happens. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing there. I'm putting it in the comment section right now. Check out the link I just put in your in the comments. So what that link does is it takes you to learn a little bit about a 2-day virtual precious metals event I'm hosting starting tomorrow. It's tomorrow and Saturday, guys, and registration will be closing soon. Get registered for that. It's the most comprehensive precious metals education in the industry. And it's going to break everything down from why you need to be investing in precious metals in the first place, how to do it the right way so you're getting the most metal for your dollar. You know how pricing works. You know which metals to pick because there's hundreds of options out there. Where on earth do you get started? What's going to accomplish your objectives the best way? What are some common sales tactics to avoid? Is the government really going to be confiscating my gold again in the future like they did back in the 30s? Do I need to factor that into my decisions? And ultimately, when to be buying metals. And we actually show you guys how to properly chart gold and silver. We took a brief snapshot of the silver chart. My good friend Andrew Wilburn's going to be on there with me. We're going to be showing you guys, he is one of the best technical analysts I've ever known. We're going to be walking through how to chart gold and silver the right way. And then we finish by showing you guys where to be getting your metals in the first place. We're going to be covering a ton. And guys, it's going to be awesome. One of our best virtual events of the year starts tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central. So check out that link in your comments and get registered for it before registration closes, because it's going to be phenomenal. And I cannot wait to share all of the entire education with you guys in detail so that you can start incorporating your metals investing the right way so you're getting the most metal for your dollar with your short-term trading or anything else that you're doing out there. So it's going to be awesome, guys. Let me see if we have some questions really quick. Let's see. Tom, you mentioned, remember your savings wealth preservation method anyone has ever taught me. Can't wait. Okay, awesome. So Tom, you've taken the course before. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it a few years ago, but get this, Tom, I've updated it quite a bit since the last time you took the course. It's been over 4 years, guys, since I've taught this precious metals event in its entirety live. So I've made some changes to it. I've learned quite a bit myself in the last 4 years, including how to react to things like a global pandemic or something like a tipped short squeeze on the silver market, all those kinds of things. I gave you guys a brief sneak peek on it tonight. But all of that's factored into this updated education. So even if you've taken it before like Tom, I'm glad you loved it a few years ago, Tom. You're going to like it even better now. So I cannot wait to have you on there with us tomorrow. Let's see here. Kingsley, I defined short squeeze for you. Again, very, very simple definition. You guys could go Google that, the Investopedia definition. I mean, that'll fill you in for sure. Let's see. Will you have, James asks, will you have an evening showing of tomorrow's training? So James, the way this is going to work is this is a 2-day virtual event, and it's an all-day thing. So it's from 10 a.m. to, I'm guesstimating, around 4 p.m. Of course, we're going to have breaks throughout the day and a lunch break on Friday and Saturday. And it's a full-blown education. It's not like just a 1 or 2 hour workshop or master class or anything like that. It is a full-blown 2-day event, virtual event, where we break down everything from why, how, when, and where to invest in precious metals, strategies that my family's been using for the last 3 generations to help you guys get the most metal for your dollar and even more than that. So click the link that I put in the comments. You guys can go get registered for it. I have a video in that link, I believe, that you can watch, give you a little bit more info as well. So that's kind of how the layout works there, James. Kingsley, you say, I'm a Trader Pro. If I can't make it this weekend, will be recorded. So appreciate that question, Kingsley. And by the way, as a Trader Pro, you do get free admission to this event. I'm not going to be recording it because, listen, guys, we want this to be a live experience, just like we've always done with our Step 1 events. For those of you familiar with our Step 1 stock trading course, we want to encourage live attendance. Even if you can't get off work tomorrow, Saturday is going to be awesome. And of course, and we're even going to be doing this, I think, later on in the year as well. So if you purchase the ticket for tomorrow or for this weekend and you can only show up on Saturday, guess what? I'll let you come to the next one and you can get Friday and Saturday if you wanted to do it that way. But listen, guys, we're encouraging as much live attendance as possible because you can't beat it. You can't beat the live experience, the interaction with your fellow investors through the chat and the Q&A. Of course, I'm there, and I want to get your questions live. I'm going to be answering everyone else's. I'd love for yours to be there too. So it won't be recorded in that sense, Kingsley. And so for that reason, I mean, we want to encourage as much live attendance as possible, just like we've always done with our Step 1 events. It makes it way more special anyway. And if you're not able to attend, reach out to me and we'll figure something out. We'll try to get you on the registration for the next one, or maybe you can come for Saturday and then retake the event later in the year. Click on the link to register for it. And then if you have questions about it, just email me and we'll talk about it later. preciousmetals@tradeway.com. You can reach out to me. So yeah, guys, excited for the updates. Tom says, Joe says it sounds awesome. Joe, I hope you get registered for it. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. I think as of right now, it looks like the board is clear. So awesome stuff, guys. Please like and share this video if you liked what you saw and you think you have some friends or family that would benefit from it as well. And I cannot wait to be with you guys this weekend teaching the course in its entirety for the first time in over 4 years. It's going to be incredible. We're going to be talking about current events and how to get the most metal for your dollar when you're investing, how to chart gold and silver, gosh, how pricing works. I mean, there's so many things we're going to cover. I can't even think of all the bullet points at the top of my head. But yeah, day one is going to be all about laying the foundation. Why invest in precious metals in the first place? Day two is all about applying a system ongoing to make it a very active thing for the rest of your life. Something that you can do. Again, my family's been doing it for 3 generations. Your family can do that too. So again, the board looks clear, guys. So I'm going to leave you to it. Click the link in your comments to get registered for this weekend. Starts at 10 a.m. Central tomorrow. So go get registered before the registration closes. Cannot wait to see you guys there. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to leave a comment, even if you're watching this after the broadcast ends. If you're watching the recording of this later, leave a comment. Our team will see it, and we can get your questions answered there as well. So you guys have a good one. Hope to see you this weekend, and have a blessed night with you, you and your family, and hope to hear from you guys later. So have a good one. See you next time.